Hey guys, what's up and welcome to a new Tesla update video. So today, as per usual, let's go over Tesla, let's go over the market, let's figure out what is happening and what we can expect moving forward. So with all that being said and done, as per usual, if you enjoy the video, don't forget to hit that like button. It does help a lot. I do appreciate it quite a bit. And of course, I'm not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice. And the membership section on YouTube is live. The link is down below. Just $2.99 a month if you're interested. The link again in the description of the video, where I constantly post and share my intraday thoughts, post updates on mainly Tesla. Sometimes I add in other bonuses, like for instance Netflix here, right? Constantly show options order flow pretty much live throughout the day when anything interesting or worthwhile really comes up. So again, if you're interested, link is below. But let's jump into it. Tesla closing the day up about 1% on the day, we'll say, closing at about $189.50 per share, which compared to the market is a slight outperformance, which is nice to see, but nothing to really write home about either. And let's be honest here. So what does this all mean moving forward? So we're pretty much trading, like I said the other day, right, within this little, red channel, right? We're so far kind of zigzagging in between. Now, it is a descending channel, which is good. Usually they play out to the upside. Not always, of course. There's obviously a chance that it doesn't, and it just crashes even further. Always a possibility. I don't think it'll happen, and I think the chances of that happening are substantially lower than essentially at some point rising back up. But nonetheless, still something to consider. Now, the fact that we're still trading within this channel and so far have found a bit of a rejection is, something that may open up the fact that we're still in this channel, I guess is a better way to put it, opens up the possibility of us still coming back down to somewhere around, I would say, 182, give or take 182-ish level, which is going to be about a 4% drop. Assuming that happens, let's just say tomorrow, for instance. I don't think it'll happen tomorrow, but let's just say it does. So, 3.5-ish, we'll say, give or take, of course, percentage drop from pretty much where we closed today, roughly. Now, the reason for that is pretty simple. Again, while we're within this channel, technically, while literally in the channel, it is technically bearish, while literally inside of the channel, right? Technically, even a possibility of still coming back down to test the bottom of the channel closer to the 170s. Again, don't expect that to happen, but again, possibility. But again, while we're in this channel and we haven't broke above this channel, which currently is around 191 to be safe, in my opinion, you have to take into consideration that there is still a chance that you go lower. And I personally think the lower possibility here is going to be somewhere, like I said, around that 182 give or take level, which essentially will also end up forming the the right shoulder of this potential inverted head and shoulders pattern, which will look something like, my goodness, what is going on? Go ahead and take that, put it over here, whatever, right? You get the idea. It'll look something like this. We have the left shoulder right here, we have the head right here, and potentially coming up to form the right shoulder, which should roughly be the same general level-ish as the left shoulder, which again, like I said, is around 182, give or take. And that's, I think, where potentially we are headed. Again, doesn't mean we have to be. For all we know, we can just rocket right out of this channel tomorrow, which is, again, about a 191 break, which is why you want to play this level by level. No one knows what's going to happen next, right? It's all a probability game. But what you can do is play the levels, right? The levels are important. And again, as long as we're below the 191-ish level, and essentially, in other words, in this channel, the possibilities of coming back down to at least halfway to the halfway part of this channel, which again, pretty much is around that 180, 182, 83-ish level, is a possibility. And, you should technically expect it, at least in my opinion. But if we do break out, then again, the 191, that probably isn't going to happen. Now, with that being said, though, that's just a short, super short-term movement. Like that's like the next few days or something like that. Maybe even tomorrow, honestly, but probably next few days with CPI and stuff next week, I believe as well, could potentially be the case. But ultimately, the overall, I think the picture for Tesla still looks good here. Like for at least, this general area of the 180s being a bottom, at least for the somewhat short to medium term, right? Because again, the R side looking good, looking like it's picking up on life, setting up some beautiful looking bullish divergences, and it's looking great. The MACD is looking great. If we go over to the daily, we have officially flipped a bullish on the MACD as well. As I zoom in over here, you can see, again, not the most convincing flip, right? But a flip nonetheless, which is good to see. So not only did it flatten out, but it did flip back to being bullish. We need a bit more, confirmation, if you will, to, really see if this is the case or not, because it's not the most convincing flip, but nonetheless, it's still there. So that's a good sign to see. We still have broken out of course, this overall downtrend being the yellow line, which is great. The RSI and the daily chart is showing some life as well, which is nice to see. So, overall, the technicals are lining up for this general area to still be an overall short to medium term bottom. Potentially long term, depends on how things go, of course, but at the very least, in my opinion, a short to medium term bottom as we make our way back upwards once again to re-enter the 200 level overall. But of course, as usual with everything in stocks and trading and technical analysis, there's always a possibility that, well, it just simply doesn't play out the way we honestly or would like it to play out. So again, that's why you always want to take that into consideration. Nothing is guaranteed. So make sure you understand that. But nonetheless, it's looking good. It's overall looking good. It's just a matter of the very, very short term. Again, the next few days or so, do we come back down to test that 182, 183-ish level, set up the right shoulder, or do we just break above 190? And we kind of just really just go from there. So that's kind of the main thing I'm looking at right now, right? And that's probably the most important thing to take a look at. Now, one thing I do want to overall, I guess, touch base on, if you will, is going to be QQQ. Now, QQQ is looking kind of interesting. Looking overall kind of bullish. I mean, it is, of course, setting up a pretty substantial bearish divergence, right? Pretty much the opposite of what Tesla's doing, where pretty much it's constantly making lower highs, right? Lower high, potentially, question mark, lower high, right? We'll see. But, and that's happening as a quote unquote stock. I'll just say stock for the sake of simplicity, but as a stock is essentially making higher highs each and every single time. So it set it up over here, and then it went even higher, set a lower high on the RSI, went even higher pretty much yesterday and today, another lower high. So we're setting lower highs while making higher highs on the RSI, which again is a bit of a bearish divergence. So make sure you understand that as well. But the reason I bring that up is because obviously if QQQ decides to, let's say, come back down, even to test this overall trend line, which is this red line right here, which will bring QQQ down to about $422, pretty much a 10-point drop roughly from here, right? That can be the catalyst, if you will, that brings Tesla down to about that 182, give or take level, right? That is, of course, a possibility. And I'll bring up another reason why that's a possibility. So it's only about a 2 to 3% drop from here. It's nothing crazy, but nonetheless, that's enough for Tesla to come back down to 182. That's about a 4% drop for Tesla almost, right? But the reason I also bring that up is, and I follow this actually very lightly, again, not a very, very small position in my portfolio, but nonetheless, a position. A lot of bearish flow came in for QQQ pretty much in the last, about 15 minutes or so of the day, right? A lot of, no whales, nothing like a substantial position, right? It's all like 100,000 to 200,000 positions, still a decent amount, and there's a lot of them, but no like massive whale. But nonetheless, still worth to note the fact that there's a lot of bearish flow that came in a row on QQQ pretty much towards the close. So that is a possibility that we do get a bit of a retracement from here, maybe even come back down, like I said, about a 2% drop to this red line, which again will put QQQ to about 422, which again, if that happens, you have to understand that can affect Tesla and also bring it down a little bit as well. So just make sure you understand that. I just want to make sure I bring that up. Now, in terms of the actual flow for Tesla itself, kind of all over the place. I'll be completely honest. I mean, very, very much all over the place. I wouldn't say it's anything was really like super convincing in any direction specifically. Really just truly all over the place as Tesla kind of really also just traded all over the place. Nothing too convincing. So, not really sure how I feel about the options flow. Nothing really showing me any obvious signs in either direction, which maybe is a good thing sometimes. Maybe it's a bad thing. Who knows for sure. But again, as of right now, nothing too convincing. Just kind of noise, in my opinion, if you will. So take that into consideration as well. But that's kind of the main thing I'm looking at right now. But again, like I said, ultimately, Tesla's still looking great. Now, again, and I said this many times, if we do break out and we continue with, so far, pretty nice looking candle, if we actually do push up tomorrow and we do close closer to the highs of the week. So let's say we close tomorrow at like 190 or 191 or something like that. If that happens tomorrow, this would be an absolutely looking candlestick on the weekly chart for Tesla. Absolutely gorgeous looking hammer candle, and I think it'll be looking pretty darn good heading into next week. I really do, even though we have like a CPI, I believe, in whatnot next week as well. But it could look good. We'll see how tomorrow closes. That'll be important to understand, but we'll of course visit that when the time comes. But ultimately, that's kind of what I'm seeing right now. So yeah, if you enjoyed the video, of course, as per usual, don't forget to hit that like button. There's not too much more to talk about as we just await next week or tomorrow and see how the candle closes. And again, really just await this overall channel to truly play out. And from there, that should give us a better idea. But ultimately, I still think Tesla overall looks like it wants to base around this area. Just whether or not the very, very, very short term gives us that one more little drop to about the 182-ish level or not is really the only question, in my opinion, at least for now. But with all that being said and done, ladies and gentlemen, if you enjoyed the video, again, don't forget to hit that like button. And as per usual, I'll see you tomorrow. Peace.